Welcome to Death and Aliens, in-depth look at horror and sci-fi TV from two friends who vaguely know what they're doing. I'm Courtney.
And I'm MK.
And how are ya?
Well, if you listened to Sunday's episode, you'll know that I'm living in a state of crisis at all times. Um, but also, if you live in the United States of America, or probably honestly anywhere on planet Earth, you'll know that
You also know that.
everything is a crisis.
Right.
And the other day, when the stock market decided it really didn't want to exist anymore, I guess, or whatever, and Dan panicked a little bit.
Oh, is he in the game?
Well, no, but he teaches economics, and so he's very
Oh,
focused.
sure.
He like teaches economics. He's always thinking about those things because of teaching it and everything. And
Right.
also, we were like super pumped when we bought everything, like our hotels and our flights and everything, because the dollar was doing so well that like the dollar compared to the Canadian dollar was fucking insane how high it was, and it was basically on par with the euro. So we were like, this is great. And we bought all this stuff, and then the stock market dropped 11% in a day or some shit like that, like in 2 days. It was insane. And Dan was like, that looks really good for us going to Europe this summer. Yay. So then I spent the next 2 days buying every ticket that we need for everything we're doing for the entire time we're in Europe over the summer. And like, I texted Bree and I go, hey, I know that this was your job and I sent you the things we wanted to do and that it's not really that close to the honeymoon. And so like you haven't like made our itinerary yet. And I get that. But the economy. So here's everything we're doing. And I sent her like 60 emails. I was like, boom. Every time I would get a receipt, I would forward her the email, get a receipt, forward her the email, get her. I was like, I have lost my mind. But my entire honeymoon is booked.
That's good. I mean, I don't own anything or have any money, so like,
Um, I like emailed every hotel and was like, this is what train we're taking in. We're getting in late. Is it okay if we have like late check-in? And they were like, oh yeah. So I've now talked to the concierge or front desk manager at every hotel we're staying at. Um, did my mic just go out? Oh, it did for a second.
I,
It
oh,
did.
I
It
was
did.
like, I
It
didn't even notice.
no, my headphones were being weird. But yeah.
Hmm.
So yeah, but everything is booked. The only thing we don't have are dining reservations. But like we're also not big, like we're kind of cool with just figuring out dinner as we go. There
Yeah.
is one night that we want to do like an actual like fancy sit down dinner in Paris, but I have the personal information for the concierge at our hotel in Paris who can book it for us. So her name's Pauline. I have to reach out to Pauline once we figure out what we want to do that night. Um, but that wouldn't matter because we wouldn't pay till we got to the restaurant anyway. It was just a matter of
Right.
booking it. But so everything that needed to be paid for, well, except for there are some things in France, particularly in France, that you can't book. Everything in Paris is like these tickets will come available 60 days before. These tickets will be available 30 days before. These tickets will be available 90 days before. These tickets will be available 7 days before. Those are the ones that really stress me out. Um, but for the most part, a lot of those things are available to, like, we bought a museum pass and we just have to reserve our time slots for entering the museum. So technically, I've
Oh,
already
yeah.
paid for them. I just haven't reserved my
Booked
time
it. Yeah,
slot.
yeah.
There's like, I think we haven't got done any of our metro tickets yet because those are really more difficult to do online.
Mm.
Because if you just go to a station and get a refillable card or a week pass or
Yeah.
whatever, except for the tram in Edinburgh, they made it real easy to get tickets online. Good for them. Love that. But so the metro tickets, one of the trains, the train from London to Edinburgh, because it's technically part of all of the national rail service in the UK, it was not available to buy this far in advance. And the catacombs in Paris, which have the highest rate of ticket fraud of anywhere in the world. Apparently, people are really trying to scam you in the catacombs.
Really?
Do not understand that.
That is bonkers.
Super. They will not sell tickets until 7 days in advance because the scam rate is so high.
I mean, good for them for like monitoring that, but also like that is not the first place I would have thought.
Right. Correct. I do know that like the Louvre and Notre Dame are like the most pickpocketed places, but
Sure.
because it's so
Of course they are.
yeah, but because it's so difficult to like get into them in the first place, not really that difficult. Catacombs, they will scam you. Fantastic. So, I also watched a weird video that made me panic because it was like, here are the 7 most common scams from street artists in Paris. And I was like, great. Basically, don't talk to anyone, is what they're telling you. Do
Right.
not speak.
Where all are y'all going again?
We're going to Brussels, Paris, London, and Edinburgh.
I couldn't figure out we're going to London again or not. Rachel had asked me, and I was like, I know they're doing Paris. I was like,
Yes.
and she told me other ones. I was like, I don't remember where the other ones are.
Yeah. But yeah, so I have at least turned my crisis productive.
That is true. That is good.
So that is my only positive is that I have made my crisis productive. But it also means that I am in a crisis and I spent all of my money.
Sure.
So,
I know that
how
life.
are you?
Same. Um, but I'm okay. I'm better than I was an hour ago. This hot toddy has really helped my
Love that.
sinus situation. I did leave my ginger chews in the car, I realized after I got settled. And so
So upsetting.
yeah, I was gonna move on to that when I finished my hot toddy, but I won't now. Yeah, so I'm okay. It's been so crazy busy. Like we're trying to plan for like the baby to get here, which is into May. So we have the baby shower this weekend. So I was at Renee's house for 4 hours on Saturday, finishing planning this baby shower. And it was just so long. And I love Renee. I really like Renee. And we planned a good shower. It's gonna be really great. It just was really long.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to use my brain that much at that time. And the friend group who I also love dearly, God help me if they ever plan something with more than 24-hour notice. Hell will have frozen over. And so we've been trying to do like, I think I mentioned before, trying to do like a get together every month.
Yeah.
And just to get the friend group together every month. Which is great. Totally on board. Love that. Love that idea. So we were supposed to do it last weekend, but it was election day or voting day or whatever. We weren't electing anyone. We were voting on amendments, which were nightmare. It came out fine, but it was just these people who are working. I have friends who are on the Constitution for Louisiana. These people who are trying to write these amendments are writing the most asinine, unclear amendments. And that's like literally rule number 1 of writing an amendment is it has to be clear to go on the ballot. One of the amendments that went on the ballot was actively in court trying to decide if it was clear enough or not because it was being shot down by so many people because it wasn't clear enough and they still put it on the ballot. It did get shot down. And I was like, put it back on the ballot. Make it clear. I'm not saying I don't know if I would vote for that or not. Because if it goes this way, I'd vote for it.
I don't understand it because I can't vote for something I don't understand.
You can't just be like, we're going to leave some property taxes and we're going to protect others. You got to be more specific.
What?
You can't say, and they're like, we're going to give $2,000 to some teachers. Why? And then somebody asked me, they're like, why do you hate teachers? I was like, that's obviously not true. I hate that you tell me you're going to give $2,000 to some teachers and then not give me a criteria for who you're going to choose and why. And that means it's going to go to the same teachers that already get these random benefits that nobody else gets and screw over all the other teachers that I already know that aren't getting the benefits.
Yeah.
You got to be more specific. So we didn't have family night because of that, which was good. So everybody voted. We did well. So it all got shot down because it was just insane.
Yeah.
And so they had thrown around a couple other nights this recent Saturday, the 5th, and like the 23rd or something. I don't know. And Friday night at like 7 p.m., they're like, we got the fire station booked. And then an hour later, they're like, let's do charcuterie boards tomorrow night. Like everyone bring your own board. And I was like, I have no money in my account. Preparation. Because all I could think about was how much money and time I spent on the what board I got for your house. So I was like, I don't have any money. I just paid my rent. I just paid all these bills this week because it's the first week of the month.
Yeah.
I don't get paid again until next Friday. I got paid again today with my other job. But I was like, I don't get paid again until Monday. I don't have money to make you a charcuterie board. I don't have time because I'm spending 4 hours planning a baby shower. And I was just like, I don't know. I'm gonna go and you just get whatever I show up with. So Rachel just happened to have, I mean, Rachel always has ingredients to make buffalo chicken dip at her house, and they love her buffalo chicken dip. She didn't go. She did not go to this event. She went to dinner.
Good
So
for
I went
her.
to her house when I left Renee's, and she made me buffalo dip, and I made her cornbread for her cornbread salad or whatever. It sounded terrible, but I made cornbread because she asked me to.
Yeah.
Um, and she made the buffalo dip. And so I showed up with a tin of chocolate from Renee's house that she just had extra
Yep.
and buffalo dip and like opened chips because that's what we had available. And I was like, I'm not going to the store. But it ended up being really fun. Like we had, it was so mismatched. Like,
When you Snapchatted me that you were playing games and you were still there, the biggest problem was that I was awake to open your
right.
Snapchat because I was reading books that wrecked my life till 1 o'clock in the morning every single
Mhm.
day this week because, I was doing so well with sleep that that was the choice I made.
Sure, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but also the fact that you were like fully still in the middle of the game
We
at
had
the
just started
hour
the second game.
at an hour that I was like forcing myself to sleep because my book was ruining my life. I was like, we are not doing well.
No, we will. It was supposed to start at 6:30. So at 6:45, I text Shane and I was like, are we doing this at 6:30? It's like, yeah, I was like, obviously I'm not there yet, but I'm gonna come in a minute.
Yeah.
It's like obviously it's 15 minutes after that that I'm asking you if that's the time. Or so
Oh
because it's
yeah.
also not clear. They didn't give me any clear information.
Oh, well, my
And
when
so
my party was supposed to start at 6, and then Dan was like, "What time are people getting here?" And I was like, "Well, Jill will be out early because she's helping me set up." And I go, "But Mo already told me she's going to be late, and Kate and Chrissy are about as good at being on time as I am.
yeah,
So
yeah.
who knows?" So at like 6:30, when Kate and Chrissy pulled up, and I just opened the door and yelled outside, I said, "You know, you live closer than anyone else, right?" Because Kate literally lives around the corner from me. We can walk to each other's house. And I was
Oh,
like,
this is 3 streets over from me.
yeah, no,
Yeah.
she's literally 2 blocks away from me. And I go, how are you the last one here?
Yeah. He was like, you just have to beat Stella. I was like, I'll watch to make sure her car doesn't leave before I do.
Yeah,
Because she lives
great.
3 streets that way, and I live in the news 3 streets that way. But it was fun. So we had like weird boards, like Stella brought like taquitos and mozzarella sticks, which is good. That's good. And
Yeah.
we had wings and stuff. And then she brought this weird like uncrustable and mac and cheese and beef jerky board. It was everything was so haphazard because we had 24 hours to plan this stupid
Yeah.
event.
Yeah.
It was such a racket, but it was really fun. And there was like good food, and there was like Chelsea made these homemade butterbeer cookies.
Ooh.
So she basically made chocolate chip cookies with Hershey's, the butterbeer Hershey's Kisses that she chopped
Yeah.
up and put in them instead of chocolate chips.
Nice.
So good. And so then we played this game, Bang. Are you familiar with Bang?
And not.
Okay. It's kind of similar to like Mafia, but more rules.
Okay.
There's more cards. um, and so it's kind of like Mafia, Werewolf, any of that. But they have like 17 expansion packs because these people apparently been playing forever. This is my first time I played it.
Okay.
So the first time we played and it was fun and I won. We won collectively because it was the Outlaws one. Um, and then the second time, the game lasted 3 hours. This is
No.
not a game that lasts 3 hours.
No.
And so we're all just sitting there. We were gonna play Uno, but then it was like after midnight, so we didn't. Um, but
No.
but it was fun. I always have a good time like going to game night and hanging out. It just is the bane of my existence. Shane texted me Friday. He's like, "Are you going?" And I was like, "This is the stupidest time for anyone to tell me that this event is happening. It is not even 24 hours notice." I was like, "I don't know what's happening." And then I was like, "But yeah, I'll be there." But
But
like
yeah,
still,
and I hate you, but yes, I will
right.
be there.
Like I live 3 streets over and I did plan this because someone had mentioned it like a week before that we might want to do it on Family Day, which was they had Family Day for the fire station.
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh my gosh. So they stress me out a lot, but it's really fun once you actually get there. Um, so we had a good game night and a good like catch up and I don't know, it's just like it was really chill, which was really what I needed Saturday. Um, so do you want to give me a little more chill, joy, despair? I don't know, whatever you want to give me
Um,
today.
this one is the first one that like feels very much like it's very specific to the show and like isn't gonna make sense if you've never watched Grey's Anatomy, but um it's an urban myth that suicide rates spike at the holidays. Turns out they actually go down. Experts think it's because people are less inclined to off themselves when surrounded by family. Ironically, that same family togetherness is thought to be the reason that depression rates actually do spike around the holidays. Yeah, okay. Izzy doesn't count. Because in that episode, Izzy's like fucking crazy baking, super happy, making everybody celebrate Christmas when they're all like, I'd rather be dead right now.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah. I
yeah.
remember that one.
But
That was like early on. What season are we on?
season two.
Oh, I was thinking that was season one for some reason.
No.
Because there's
Season one was
75
yeah,
seasons.
but season one was only 9 episodes because it was a mid-season replacement.
Oh, I
So
didn't realize
people
that.
forget
Okay,
how
okay.
people forget how short season one is.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That makes
Yeah.
sense.
So and this was like the halfway point of season two. So basically they wrote season one. So
Yeah. Yeah,
but
yeah.
yeah. So but basically, your family will keep you alive and also keep you insane.
And also drag you down.
Yeah. Which
I love it. I love it. Which tracks.
yeah.
Your found family will also do that.
Yes.
Bless their hearts. Bless it.
Well,
So today,
especially when your found family is fucking Hannibal Lecter.
right. And so we are talking about Hannibal today, season 3, episode 13, the finale, which is called The Wrath of the Lamb. It aired August 29th, 2015. It was rated 9.7 out of 10. I think we have mixed feelings about this episode because I actually really liked it.
I hated it.
I know you did.
Hated it. I
I
told
know you
Courtney
did.
last night that my night was going badly because Hannibal was so terrible.
I know. So I was like really going into it. Like I was like, oh, this is going to be just so insane. But I actually didn't hate it. I thought I was going to. But we'll get more into that.
Yeah.
So number one song, movie, and book, all still the same. Nothing has changed. On this day, there was, I don't know if you remember this. I like vaguely remember this happening because it was 2015.
Yeah.
The Pacific Northwest had a windstorm that put Seattle out of power.
I don't
It was
remember.
like a big deal. I don't remember how long it was, but it was like, it wasn't like more than a day, I don't think. But I do remember it happening. Um, Also, a man fell at the Atlanta Yankees game in Atlanta Stadium, fell off one of the top like rafters and died. Um, which I only have bad news.
Okay.
And there was a Bangkok bombing. That was apparently pretty big deal. So before your time.
Before my time.
Yeah.
Before I even
So
really knew anyone in Thailand. So
right. Because you had 2018 or 2019?
20, I went in 2018, but one of my friends from Disney was from Thailand. So my Thailand popped into my life and my radar in 2016.
Gotcha.
So
Okay.
on that
So
day, I was working concessions at a Bills football game. That was
fun.
yeah. So
Fun. Ugh, I'm ready for football. I won March Madness.
you what? You
I won
won?
March Madness. Yeah,
I didn't do a bracket this year
I
because
did.
I didn't have the mental energy.
Yeah, it's the only thing I do is sports.
Yeah, I know.
I don't care about anything else in the world right now.
Yeah.
So I did my bracket. Our director is Michael Reimer, writer Steve Lightfoot, Nick Antosca, and the editor is Michael Dougherty. So obviously all returning. It's the last episode. Nothing new.
Yeah.
Which also means no new cast members.
Yes.
So with that said, let's get into it. So we start where we left off with Reba and Francis in the house, and very synonymous to the film. He starts telling her to fill his chest, and there's a key there. He is telling her to lock the front door. And so it takes 10 years for this to happen, but once it does happen, she gets over the door and of course tries to escape, and he's already outside. So the whole thing was a test to see if he could quote unquote trust her. When you try to kill people, no, you probably can't trust them. They are going to try to escape.
Correct.
And then he puts a shotgun on her, and this is where he starts like putting out the like gasoline and stuff. We know he's gonna light it on fire, which is obviously what happened in the movie.
Yeah.
And so he's gonna burn them both alive. But then he says he can't stand to watch her burn, and shoots himself in the head and just like destroys his whole brain and face. And then we see the credits of her, or we see her trying to like climb out. We see her get the key, try to climb out, And then we see a beautiful stag on fire. That's, of course, synonymous of the entire season of the entire series we've been watching.
Yeah.
And we get the credits. What would you like to say?
I hated this whole thing.
Yeah, I didn't like this, but I didn't like it in any of the movies either. I just
Yeah, that's
hate this
true.
as a scene.
That's true. But it was too slow.
Yes. Oh my God. Yes.
And then also when he shot himself, I was confused. And I understand what happened after, but I spent the next probably 5 to 10 minutes being so distracted by the fact that that's not how he's supposed to die that
Mhm.
I then couldn't follow the episode for a couple minutes because I was like,
Right.
what? Why did they, what?
Mhm.
And then that I watched it with that level of confused. So that started my inability to appreciate this episode real
I will
early.
say, I did have that feeling this first scene. I was like, did they just kill him? That is so ridiculous and so anticlimactic based on everything we're having. Like,
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know
I was
why
like,
you would make
I was like,
this.
I literally was like, they're gonna end it that suddenly, and then just what, introduce a new story for the cliffhanger, and then
Yeah.
fuck me up that like I
Right.
had no possibility from that moment was going to be a good episode for me.
Yeah. Well, we got out of that, but I did also think that
But
at that moment I was like, this is it. This is
see,
the
but
end.
I never got around to liking it, so
That's totally fair. That's totally fair. Um, so we go over to Reba and she's in the hospital and she's talking about the fire with Will. And she's telling him kind of how everything went down and
yeah,
whatnot. And then he starts trying to tell her, he's like, there's nothing wrong with you. Like everything's fine. Like sometimes people just like go to the wrong people. There's something wrong with you. And she's just like, yeah,
I'm
bro, I understand there's nothing wrong with me. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying this one time I've made a bad decision because I care too much.
yeah,
Like,
she was like, it's not my fault that the codependent, fucked up people are drawn to the blind. Like, I don't know what to tell you.
right. She was
I
like,
just,
that's not what I'm saying. Because of course he's projecting.
yeah,
Um, but I was just like, you tell him, Reba. Um, and then we go to Hannibal and Will, and they're, in their church setting. Um, and he just says, "Ding dong, the dragon's dead." And I was like, talk about Wizard of Oz. Has a running theme this week for us. Um, and
yeah,
so then they just have like a lot of weird conversation back and forth. And Hannibal's like, you came all this way to do all this, and you didn't even get to kill anyone. I'm so sorry. Like, Jesus Christ. And they start talking about Chilton. He's like, you did at least like run this gamut, basically. Like you made this happen. So I guess you have that going for you. And Will's like, it's fine. I'm going home now. This is it. This is the end. We've done it. Everything's over. You're captured. The red dragon's dead. And Hannibal just doesn't think about me, Will. And I was like, you are so messed up and are
yeah,
so insane. I just don't get it. And he's like, was it good to see me? Like such a pick me girl. He was almost like a pick me girl in the scene.
yeah,
And Will's like, no. He's like, good, no, that's not it. And so we go to the motel he's staying at, which looks like the Bates Motel. I don't know if this is the same shot we've got in every scene. We've seen him at this motel,
I don't
but
know.
the visual, I was like, this looks like the Bates Motel. I don't have
Yeah,
a trivia on that, so I don't know if that's true or not because
I
I
don't know
forgot.
either. I just
But
also think every TV motel looks the same.
they do, but it was the way they had the sign that said motel that was flashing. It was like all they did was remove Bates from it, is what it looked like.
Yeah, I didn't
Um,
even really notice.
yeah. And then Will walks in and he's immediately attacked by Francis. So we get reminded that he is still alive, that he didn't
Yeah,
go out and play like in a shotgun. And Francis is just uh he is distraught. Hannibal has betrayed him and he's just couldn't be more upset. And so Will starts going through all this and he starts telling him, he's like, you can't do anything but change him, but you need to change him. Like,
yeah,
I think you're the one to do it. So we go to the lab with our pals, Jimmy and Zeller, and they're talking about the body. And they're like, this is obviously not his body. Like, obviously, we
yeah.
know he's alive, but they're like, these are dentures from a woman in an old man that isn't even like we've
Yeah,
identified this man. Like it's
nothing
this is
about
just so
this makes sense.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Will's also there talking to Jack and he's telling him, he's like, we should just bait this guy. Then like if he's still around, we should bait him with Hannibal. Um and Jack's like, I don't know. And he's like, no, I think we should like fake a Hannibal escape. And I was like, we've lost Will. At
We've
this
lost.
moment, I was like, we've
Oh
lost
yeah.
Will.
Yeah.
Which was obvious, but it's what a bummer.
Well, because wait, in the first scene when he and Hannibal are talking, isn't that when he says that Hannibal only let himself get caught because Will rejected him?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
And so
that was when I was like, Jesus, Mary and Joseph, I'm done. I quit.
yeah. Well, because he also like he wants to be free because he doesn't want to have to think about him all the time. If he doesn't know where he is, he's not thinking about him. But he is really. But that seems to be the logic. So we go to Will and therapist Belinda, bless it, and he's talking about how to release Hannibal for good, obviously. Um, and he says, "This is my becoming. Like this is where we are." And he tells Bedelia she just needs to leave. He's like, "You just got to go because he'll come after you." And she is livid.
Yeah, and for the
I
first
agree.
time in the entire series, I was on her side.
I know. I was like, "Yeah, girl, you right. You in danger. It's time for you to
But then the
leave
way
now."
he ends it, the way he's like, "Yeah, girl, run," because meat's back on the menu. I was like, "You
I
psycho
know.
piece of
He's
shit."
so psycho. And he says,
Oh.
ready or not, here he comes. And I was like, Jesus Christ, I can't with you
No,
right now.
no, I was, and honestly, I think that's why I hated this episode so much because I really feel like
Yeah.
all of the growth that we've had of Will over the last 2.5 seasons, they were like, well, you can never really outrun your demons.
Well,
Goodbye.
so what
And
happened is, I'll talk about this more in the wrap up. I think I read this somewhere. I don't know if I made it in my head. I don't think I did. Not the wrap, like the whole season wrap up.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
My understanding was that the first three seasons were Will fighting Hannibal. The next three were Will joining Hannibal. And then we have the last one where everything kind of wraps it all up. That was my
Which,
understanding of the seven series arc.
which,
And so I think that they're setting it
A,
up.
because we never got a season four, it changes things. And I want to
Yeah,
save my commentary on the whole
sure.
thing for the end, obviously, for the wrap up. But I just feel like the jump from how distraught he was about the idea of Hannibal being in love with him to I'm gonna run away with you and let you out of jail happened too quickly for me to think it was anything other than character assassination. And I
Yeah.
think that that is why I hated this episode. And I
I think
do
that's fair.
and I do understand that if we had gotten Brian Fuller's full picture, I might not feel that way, but because we didn't, this does not sit well with me.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I do like that it went that direction, but
Yeah.
it's a personal preference there. Um, yeah, so Will is psycho. And we go to Chilton and he's in the hyperbaric chamber.
Our
We'll
favorite
see
thing in the entire world.
if he has the same outcome as Georgia. Um, and Bloom comes to visit and he tells her that Will has her doing everything. He's like, you're the rope that that he's using to hang everyone. Because he's like, you weren't shocked to see me.
Yeah.
Like everyone, the first time they see me, I see the look of shock register, and you didn't have that on your face. You knew that this was all planned and happening.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and he's like, so who's he have you on the rope for now? And she's like, Hannibal. Like, doesn't even try to hide. I mean, what are you gonna do at this point,
Yeah.
anyways? But she's like Hannibal for sure. And Chilton goes off on a oh my god, he's so crazy. He's like, yeah, I've really been needing some new skin. Like, I could use some of his skin if you like catch him. And like, I was like, this
Well,
is
he's like, yeah, he's like, I've been getting skin grafts, and
yeah,
his wouldn't be the worst skin to wear.
I know it. Yes, it would.
It
Maybe not
sure.
nutrient wise, but like being alive wise. And she was like, you were never comfortable in your own skin, which is true. I mean, it was in part, but it
Yeah,
was also
it
true.
was. And then he goes, yeah, but are you comfortable in Hannibal's skin?
Yeah.
And I
I
was
was like,
like,
and I think I liked that there was these little like jabs back and forth between all of the pairs that we've been seeing
yeah,
throughout. I thought that that
because
was
a
done
lot
really
of the
well.
pairs didn't make sense together in the first place.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think that I don't think that they knew at this point they were getting canceled. I think it was after that they found out they were getting canceled. Um,
Yeah,
so I still felt like this was a good way to wrap it up because they were because he's changing the storyline. And so it makes sense to have all these characters have a little more finality
animosity.
between them.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And so it I liked the way they did that. So then we go to Bloom and Hannibal, and they're talking about faking his escape. And he immediately knows it's Will's idea, because obviously.
Because
Um,
obviously,
yeah. And Hannibal starts telling her, he's like, well, I'm coming after you next. Like, it's gonna actually be successful. I'm actually gonna escape. And then I'm gonna come after you. And it just is what it is. He's like, I'm gonna come after your kid. I'm gonna come after Margot. And she like I don't know if she's like removed her soul, but she's like no emotion. Like this woman. And I
I
mean,
actually,
obviously she gets nervous at the
yeah,
end.
I do think that it makes sense for her to show no emotion because both Chilton and Hannibal are goading her,
Mhm.
and what they want is for her to react.
Sure.
And knowing that, like, that's true is
Which is fair, yeah.
she's smart enough. But yeah, the way he was like, everything you have, he's like, you died that night on my kitchen floor, and everything you have in your life I gave to you. I gave you your wife, I gave you your child,
Yeah.
I gave you everything, and I can take it back if I want to. And she was like, cool, you're fucked up. And then she probably like turned the corner and was like, I'm gonna kill myself. Like, you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah.
it
Yeah,
was
yeah.
it was a very calculated lack of emotional response.
Yeah. It was bonkers.
Yeah.
Um, so then we go to Bloom and Jack, and we learn that Hannibal wants Will to ask him, and he wants Jack to say please. And Jack's like, I'll say pretty please. Like, I don't even care. Like, I'll say whatever he wants me to say. It doesn't really matter to me.
I thought it was
Um,
Will who said that.
no,
That
Will
Will
does say
No, but
please.
I thought it was Will who said I'll say pretty please. I thought all of that was directed
Oh,
towards Will. It was like he wants you to ask and he wants you to say please when you do it.
oh, I thought she looked at Jack and said that.
No, oh, I because
I may have
it was Will
misunderstood.
who said
Yeah,
I'll say pretty please if it and
gotcha.
I was like, what? You're gross.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
gross.
Um, and then we learn that Jack wants to kill Francis and then immediately followed by killing Hannibal, which like is the smartest way to
Is
do it.
the only smart decision Jack's ever had.
Yeah. Yeah, it's obviously not the way, but it is what is the right way. So then Will goes to talk to Hannibal and tell him about this and figure out how they're going to do it. And Hannibal tells him this whole spill about like you walked away and you had all these things to say that were so final. And what do they call that? A mic drop. And then you had to pick it back up. And I was like, what is this dialogue? I was
I
like,
know.
I can't with you right now. It was
Who
just
wrote this episode?
it was so ridiculous. Um, and then they start talking about setting up the drop, and Will, of course, says please and ask him if he'll do it. Um, so then we're going to the transport, and they're going along, and everybody's just kind of waiting it out because that's the whole plan. And then Francis just like barrels in a cop car and just starts shooting people. And he takes out everyone except Hannibal and Will and retransports them or something. I wasn't sure if that was where he left them, where he found them, or took them to a different street. They all kind
No,
of look the
no,
same.
he ran their car off the road though, because then
Yeah, yeah,
Will and Hannibal are like climbing out of it.
yeah. I wasn't sure how far the car made it before it
No,
went
and
off,
not
but yeah,
very
yeah.
far because the other police cars are all still there.
Oh, that's true. That's true. Yeah.
Yeah,
So they're doing that, and Hannibal is free, of course, obviously now, and so
obviously.
is Will. And so Hannibal goes to get a car from the dead cops, just so nonchalantly, and Will goes with him. And then we go to the crime
Well,
scene.
and Hannibal says he's like, Will, you need to relax a little bit more, live a little. You're
Yeah,
so uptight. And I was like, what the fuck is
I
happening?
know. And he's like, "Are you going my way?" And I was like, "What is you two? You two?"
Weird,
Ugh.
like weird Bonnie and Clyde fucking Stockholm syndrome
Yeah.
bullshit.
Truly, truly. So we go back to the crime scene, and Jack arrives and knows he got. He's like, obviously, this is not
Yeah,
how this was going to go down.
you
And so
think?
Bloom and her family are leaving town. They're like,
Correct.
we're next on the chopping block. We are out of here. And
Yeah.
I was like, yup, good plan, good
Smart.
plan.
Best decision you've ever made.
Truly, truly. And so then we go back to Hannibal and Will, and they're at the bluff that he used to be at with like Abigail, and he kept Miriam last there. And so this is like a recurring location for them.
So gross.
Um, and they're talking about it, and he's like, did you think Francis is going to kill me? Like, is that what you're waiting on? And he's like, no, I'm waiting on him to change you. Um, and
Which
he
is what
says,
Francis says when he kills people. So, like, yes
right,
and
right,
no.
right. Um, but Hannibal tells him, my compassion towards you is inconvenient. And I was like, that is literally how I feel every day. My compassion is so inconvenient.
Yeah.
Like, it's, oh, God. If I could just be a psychopath and not care about anything, oh, what a life I'd live. Um, Francis then shoots through the glass and shoots Hannibal in the side and straight through the bottle of wine. And he keeps the gun on Will. And he's like, don't move, don't try to run.
Yeah.
Like, this is where you're at now. And Will is just like sipping wine. Like at this point, I was like, this, if I didn't think you were psychotic before, this
Right.
really solidified it for me.
Yeah, it's just the journey. It's not even that that's where he ends up. It's just that the steps he took to get there
Yeah.
don't feel, yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, and I can get that. And I think because like this is the direction it should have gone, but because we don't see him devolve this much until now. Like if you would have taken the first few scenes the from Italy where he's like in the like catacombs with him or whatever and starts kind of looking for him and starts kind of devolving. If you took that and built on that to get to this point, I think that would have made more sense. But we went hard back because we went forward. We went forward in
Yeah.
time. And so it kind of like stopped that momentum that we were having of him devolving already.
Yes.
And so I definitely get that. And again, I agree. Like with this, what is happening? Sorry, I'm getting so many new reflections because all of my windows have no curtains down. And it just evolved the wrong way. But
Yeah.
I'm still okay with where it ended up because I'm looking at Brian Fuller's picture, even though I understand we're not getting it. And I think that was a smart way to go. But I do think the pacing could have been different. But it's because they messed up the first half of the season, anyways.
Yes, that's
Like, you
very
know.
true.
Um, so Francis is talking about killing Hannibal, and he's like, I'm gonna film the death, like everyone's gonna see it, it's gonna be what it is. Um, and then Hannibal and Will are making eyes at each other, and Hannibal, like, he goes to pull out like his knife or whatever, and Francis stabs him right in the side of the face. And I was like, what a scene. What a way. And then Will pulls out the knife and stabs Francis that he has, and Francis's dragon wings come out. And then Will pulls the dagger out of himself and stabs Francis again. Like this is just like what this is so wild to be the season finale is the problem. Like the series finale.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't fit as a series finale.
No.
So Hannibal gets him with an axe that has appeared, and Will and Hannibal go after him together. And so this is their first like real hunt together, I guess. And then Francis is dead, and the lovers are reuniting. Will is not well,
No. Not
and
at all.
Hannibal just says, "This is all I ever wanted for you, Will." And
Well,
Will's
no,
like,
before that, Will says, "You're right, it does look black in the moonlight." Big,
"Yeah,
big.
right." But then he follows up with, "It's beautiful," and then they hug and have this
And
moment.
I genuinely would have been less shocked if they had kissed.
I thought they were gonna kiss. I really
I
thought that
thought they
was
were
gonna
gonna just
happen.
start bloody making out.
I did. I did.
I would have hated every second of it, but
Yeah,
it
not,
would
yeah,
zero shock, no emotional reaction.
absolutely. That is exactly how I felt. I was like, I'm gonna hate this so much because it just doesn't feel right. Like it feels forced, but then it never happened. And
Thank
that was
God.
fine. Because then they jump off a cliff together.
And
And
here's the problem.
mhm.
it really truly felt almost like Will was like, the only way to save the world from you is to
Is to
kill
take you
you,
down.
is to take you
Yeah.
down. And I have to go with you because I don't believe in myself anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I wouldn't have hated that if the 2 minutes leading up to that moment weren't so icky.
Did you watch after the credits?
You know I didn't.
So.
You know I didn't. When do
So here's what happens next. You have the credits, and then you go to Belinda. And Belinda's sitting at a dinner table, and we see three settings. And then we see what's on the menu, and there's a leg on the table, and we pan over, and Belinda doesn't have a leg. And this whole time, she looks like she's coming out of a drugged state, and she slides a fork under like her bandage on her leg. So she has like a weapon with her. And that's where it ends. So
like I
it
said,
seems they
you
didn't
know.
die.
Well, of course they didn't. They were planning on doing four more
I know.
seasons. That wouldn't have made sense. I
And
was
Bloom
living.
is gone. So they've gone to Belinda and he's fulfilled what he said he was going to do. Because she didn't leave like she was told.
Yeah, no. I again much happier in my imaginary world where they chose to just go together because I hate everything about that.
I almost didn't watch it because it took so long to get through the credits, but I was
Yeah,
like working while
I
I was watching it.
well,
And so I like just
I
let it
was out
play.
I was at work at Shay's, and so like I and the credits were taking long enough that I just assumed that it was done and like turned off my computer.
Well, you do that every time we have an after credit scene.
Well, that's because I just don't think that TV is supposed to have after credit scenes,
I
especially
know.
network TV. Like that doesn't
I
make
know. It is weird.
sense. I don't
Yeah.
like it. I'm
I
not
don't like it
mentally
either.
prepared for it.
I don't like it either. But yeah. So Hannibal and Will have obviously made it, and they've made it
Yeah.
to Jill to Belinda. So I was about to say Jillian
Right. Well, and
Jesus.
I knew it was
And
a Reichenbach Falls kind of moment where like
yeah.
Sherlock throws himself over the edge, but he's not really dead. Like I
Mhm.
understood that that was the intention of the artistry of that. But because the show got canceled, I could live in my fantasy world where they did die.
I
And
would never
that,
let you do that. I would
because
never
you're
let you
rude.
enjoy your life. How could I? Um, Speaking of the Sherlock moment though, that's what I think this whole season of Watson is about. Have y'all watched that yet? Have you started that
No,
yet? You
no.
should watch it. I like it. It's like a medical drama kind of, but Watson. And
I saw commercials for it.
okay. And Abigail's in it. I don't think I told you.
No, you
Yeah, yeah.
didn't.
She's only been in a couple episodes so far, but she is in it. And
Okay.
she plays a good role. She plays like
Okay.
a agent or something.
Okay.
Um Anyways, but yeah, so I think because of that scene, I was like, I see where we're going. We're going into them hunting together, and we're fulfilling this prophecy that
Oh,
Hannibal has put
yeah.
together. And they got
Oh,
Belinda because she's stupid and didn't leave. And it's kind of the like camel that broke the straw that broke the
child.
camel's back for
Yeah.
her because she thought she had, even though she knew Hannibal wanted to eat her, I think she thought she still had a better relationship than Will did. And now Will's got the relationship that she assumed she had with him when they were kind of working together. I don't know. It just felt
Yeah.
very momentous and very altering, and I liked it. And I do wish it would have continued on with what we had here. I wish we would have cut the first half of the season. We would have built onto the back half of the season to expand Will out a little bit more and develop him a little bit more down the hole before we actually jump
Yeah.
right in. So do Tooth Fairy first and follow up with something else.
Yeah.
And then we could jump into season 4. And that's what I would have liked for this season. But we can talk more about that obviously too, like what we would have envisioned more.
Yeah.
But because of the way that it ended, that's kind of why I did kind of like it still. And I liked the character. I liked the character like back and forth that we had here when a lot of characters were one on one.
I didn't, yeah, I guess I didn't hate some of the other like external character stuff. I just really, I don't know. I
I mean,
like
that's
it.
fair. It was rushed and
Yeah,
it shouldn't have been.
I like it even less now that I know that they
I knew you would.
cheapened the ending.
As
And
soon as I remembered that was after the credits, I was like, oh, she hasn't seen this.
no, of course not. You were like, did you watch it? We all know I didn't. Um, no, I obviously I am versed enough in storytelling and in the lore of things
Mhm.
to understand what that moment was of them falling off the cliff and the
Yeah.
symbolism of it, and I get it.
Mhm.
I and I do understand that like it is a repeat of what we did at the end of season 2 when we find out that like he didn't really die, blah blah blah. I do get that, but I really find it cheap. Like that would have been a great way to start season 4.
Yeah.
But I just the suspense of the what was Will's intention in this moment. Are they still alive? Are they working together or did they die? Like I think that that would have been a much better cliffhanger
Oh,
because
it would
it
have
was
definitely been a
quite
better
literally a
cliffhanger.
cliffhanger. Um
Yeah.
and I hate when people try to get fancy with cliffhangers and
Yeah.
fuck up the like genuine emotional reaction.
Right. Well, I also wonder if this is something I'll look into, but I also wonder if they added this scene after they learned that it was getting canceled because they were like, we want you to know where it was gonna go. And
Interesting,
so
interesting.
I'm gonna see if I can figure out the timing of it because I feel
Okay.
like because it felt separated. I mean, if you should go back and watch it,
Yeah,
but
I'll go back and watch it before we talk
yeah,
about the whole season next
it
week.
felt separated kind of from the credits, and so it kind of felt like a different season already. And so I'm
Mhm.
wondering if this was not really meant to be an after credit cliffhanger. It was more meant to be the beginning of the next season
And so they just put it there
to show you where they were
to
gonna
give
go.
fans an answer when they knew
Right.
the show was canceled.
Yeah, and that's what I'm
If
wondering.
that's the case, I will forgive it because I understand the pain of unanswered
Hmm.
questions.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
I still don't like it
anyways,
though.
that's okay. That's okay. You don't have to like it. You don't have to like it. Do you have any other like thoughts that are generic about this episode regard
No,
not
no, I think most of my like deep thoughts are bigger than this singular episode,
overarching?
so I want to wait till we are
Fair.
because we're doing the wrap up next week. It doesn't make sense to go into them
Yeah, for
yet.
sure. Well, I don't have any trivia because God forbid they give me trivia for Hannibal.
Of course.
So I
Oh
will find
wait,
some trivia for next
there
week.
was one piece of trivia
What
because
was
I
that?
know because it popped up because you know how IMDb and Amazon are
Oh
linked
yeah.
now and it pops up when you pause it. It said this was the one piece of trivia for this episode.
Oh
This will be the final episode of this
yeah.
series.
Yeah.
I was
I did see
like,
that one. And I
oh,
was like,
great. I was like, okay,
wonderful.
fuck off IMDb. Like,
Right. Yeah. Great trivia. Love to learn. Thank you. Moron. Yeah, so I don't have any trivia for you. So I don't know. This might be a bit of a shorter episode. It just is what it is.
I
Um,
think we've made it almost an hour anyway, so we're good.
okay, cool. So if you want to talk to us more, you can now talk to us about all of Hannibal. We've
Wait,
seen it all.
wait.
Oh,
I didn't get to
hey,
punch
V.
anyone.
I forgot how this works. Who do you want to punch in the face?
Will, hands
Sure.
down.
Yeah.
Hands
Yeah, no
down.
question. He is absolutely the right choice. I guess because you're gonna punch Will, God, I don't know. I kind of want to punch Bloom. I understand she made the right choice for her family this time, but she
Yeah.
really was playing strawman for a lot of this. And like she really
Oh,
did
yeah.
facilitate a lot of it and she knew what was gonna happen and she never did a thing to stop it.
Oh,
So
yeah, for sure.
I think she's gonna be the one I go with.
Valid.
Um, so who's your MVP?
My MVP, There really wasn't a lot to be happy about in this episode.
Mhm.
But ignoring the end scene that I haven't watched yet, I'm gonna go with Belinda because she was the only one who seemed to understand A, what Will's actual intentions were, and B, how serious that actually was.
Yeah, yeah, that's totally fair. God, she probably is the only one. Everyone else kind of sucks. So,
Everyone else sucks.
I'm gonna, because you've picked Belinda, I'm gonna pick our duo, Jimmy Price and Brian Zeller,
Okay,
for our comedic relief we got in
that's
the middle of the
okay. There
episode.
is one other option, and that could be Reba for being
Oh, it
like,
could be Reba, but
because
she
Reba,
would,
she did fight her way out of the
you
fire
know what?
and
You're
decide
right.
that she was
I
not a
forgot that was this
victim.
episode.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with Reba. I forgot that was the beginning of this episode.
Right.
I
Yeah,
do like
she
her.
fought her way out of the fire and refused to be the victim. So,
Absolutely. Kudos, kudos.
yeah.
Um, yeah. So on that note, if you want to email us, you can email us now about all of this season. We are watching Silence of the Lambs next week. It is
No, we're
on
not.
Pluto.
No, we're not.
Oh my God,
You
we're
and
doing a
I are
series
watching
wrap
it.
up. We are watching it. You are not. We are doing our series wrap up. Get your thoughts together. Figure out what you think about the show. Um, and come listen to us. And I will hopefully have some trivia for you. We'll look and see if we can figure out timelines of overarching of when the stories were written and what Brian Fuller had going on and whatnot.
Yeah.
Um, and in the meantime, email us deathandaliens@gmail.com. You can find us on all of the social media at Death and Aliens. You can find me at CE Cloud 13.
And you can follow me everywhere at EMKAY_superstar.
And we'll see you on Sunday for Sci Fi Sunday.
Bye.
Bye.